The most common issue people have with their wrists is a difficulty with extension. If you can't just extend your wrist like this without any pressure against it and have about a 90-degree angle between your forearm and the palm of your hand, then it's going to be a little bit stressful to load your hands in positions like a crawl or a handstand or a push-up. So if you feel a little bit of pinching in the wrist, there's a little bit of mobilization that you can do to improve this condition. First of all, we want to focus on a little bit of stretching, so extending the wrists out. I'm holding my fingers and I'm just extending my palm out in front of me. You can take a few breaths in this position and try the other side. So extending out, holding that position, make sure that you're not propping your shoulder up, your shoulder's relaxed, and you're really letting this arm do all the work. So you want to hold these for a few breaths, but for this video, we're just going to demonstrate each technique. Next, we're going to focus on flexion. So when I'm flexing my wrist, I want to hold the back of my hand with my palm, and I want to wrap my fingers around my inside of my hand. So my middle finger and my thumb are wrapping around the palm, not around the wrist crease, because I want to keep that loose so I can get the most flexion as possible. From there, I'm really just letting my elbow go heavy. My whole hand is going limp. I'm really just using this hand to hold everything up. So from there, I get a nice good flexion, and more that I can let my elbow weigh me down, the more of a stretch I can get. And you don't want to really feel a strenuous stretch. You want to feel a bit of an opening sensation along there. If you really feel it pinching into one spot, you're probably going a little too hard. Try and relax a little and just use your body weight. Make sure you do that on both sides and hold each one for 3 to 5 breaths. Okay, and next we're going to look at some wrist twists. So first, we're going to turn our hand this way, so I'm looking at my palm, and then my other hand is going to go behind my hand, so my palm against the back of my hand. From there, I'm reaching my fingers around and I'm grabbing the meat of the base of my thumb. From there, I just want to use my back of my hand, or the palm of my hand, to push the back of my hand, and then I'm going to get my pinky side against my chest. I'll use my hand to push the hand down until I feel a nice stretch. Make sure again you're relaxing your shoulders, and this arm is not really doing anything. It's totally limp. It's really this hand that's making the action happen, and the weight of the arm that's doing a lot of the work. So other side, looking at your palm, the other palm goes on the back of that hand, and then you're wrapping the fingers around the meat of the base of the thumb, and then pushing the hand so that the pinky side of the hand is touching the chest. From there, you're just relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your arms, and drawing your hand down until you feel the stretch. Next, we're going to turn in the other direction. So for this one, I'm going to turn pinky side up, and I'm going to again put my palm on the back of my other hand, and then I'm reaching for this one my thumb around to grab the meat of the pinky side of the base of my hand. From there, I want to really relax this elbow and then draw my wrist in towards my chest. You're probably not going to get all the way to your chest, and if it feels easy, it might be because you're keeping your elbow up. So make sure from outside, when you're extended, you're letting that elbow rotate downwards and keeping it close to the ribs when you're pulling the hand in. At some point, you'll feel a good stretch. You want to just hold that position instead of forcing it further. Again, for a few breaths. With the other side, pinky side up. Again, hand on the back of the other hand, and then wrapping the thumb around the meat of the pinky side of the hand, and then pressing back towards the chest while I let that elbow relax. I want this whole arm to be limp because the weight of that arm is what brings more of that rotation into the stretch. In those first two stretches, we can also do with the thumb, so extending and just holding the thumb instead of holding the fingers, or flexing, where again I'm flexing the hand, but I'm hooking the thumb instead of hooking the fingers. So other side, same thing, hooking the thumb, extending out, flexing, hooking the thumb, and pulling it towards the wrist. So opening the thumb can also help to free up the wrist a little bit and make it a little more accessible to get into those positions. Next, we're going to look at mobilizations. So this is an open kinetic chain mobilization. My hands aren't fixed anywhere, they're just floating in the air. So I'm holding my hands in a fist and my palms are facing up, and I'm just going to flex my wrist and then hold that flexion as I turn my forearms so that my palm's facing down, and then I'm extending my wrist again and flexing, turning, and extending. Once you get the coordination of this, you can fan out the fingers at the end as well. So once I extend with the fists, I can open the fingers, bring them back in, flex, turn, extend, and then open. The key here is to make sure that you're closing your hand and then extending. That you're fully extending your fists before opening your hands. So you're distinguishing that action of the fingers from the action of the wrist as much as possible. Another one we can do is bringing the hands together and interlacing the fingers, elbows together, forearms together, and then I'm just bringing one forearm down and one forearm up. This is really engaging flexion of the wrist. And you can use that arm that's going down to really pull the top arm into that flexion. We can add more movement to this and make it a little bit more about the shoulders as well by letting the arms come apart and creating a wave. And then back together. So dropping one side and then letting that top side elbow come up so the forearms come apart. They stay apart as the other forearm comes up, and then they come back together. And try the other side. Extending, creating that wave, elbows are up, and then they come back down to meet. One more. Elbow comes up, and then they're both up as the hands fold down. One other elbow comes up, and then they come back together. So whether you're doing that full movement or this small movement, it's still engaging a lot of the same things, so don't worry about it if it's too much to coordinate. Next, we're going to look at loading. So loading is the next important thing. One key thing is we're going to be doing this in the crawling position, so if you do feel some pinch or discomfort in the wrist, make sure you tuck a folded towel or something under the base of your palm in order to elevate it a little bit so that there's a little less of an angle here. You can work your way down to flat on the ground, but don't push through it if you're feeling a pinch. And what we want to do in the crawling position is make sure your wrist is directly stacked under your shoulder, and make sure that your knee is directly stacked under your hip. So from here, we're going to play with shifting forward, get a nice big flexion or extension of the wrist here, and then back. It's a lot more than just your wrist getting mobilized here, but when you're going forward, that's really when they're challenged quite a bit. So forward and backwards, and you can also go side to side. And when it comes to side, the more you lean forward, the more challenging it will be. So you can play with how how deep into that forward lean you go when you're doing the side to side, depending on how much you want to challenge your wrists and how much they're ready for it. But the side to side and the forward and backwards build up to circles. So once you're coordinated with those two movements, you can try moving in a circular pattern, getting a little more variety and 3D into what you're asking your wrists to do. You want to spread your fingers during this and treat them like snowshoes. So you want to distribute your weight evenly on your hands, not just loading it on your heel of your palms or anything, and go a few times in both directions. There's other things that are really helpful, like hanging, but we're not going to get into that today. As far as things you can do just anywhere, the wrist stretches and the mobilizations, you don't need anything, not even the ground. And when you have time to work on the ground, a little bit of loading with the crawling position can help go a long way. But consistency is important. So if you take on a practice like this and you give it a few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, you'll start to feel a difference in your wrists, and that's where you're going to create changes. So just doing it once doesn't go a long way, but if you're doing a little bit every day, you'll see a change.